A lot of these anabolic eating guys are essentially large children with access to an easy bake oven and I guess a blender, like a Martha Stewart on steroids. They sit in their kitchen all day and make a bunch of good-looking food that is overpriced and undernourishing. Chest up, shoulders back. Welcome to Revival Fitness, everybody, and today we're gonna piss a lot of people off, as we're prone to do here. We're going to discuss the recent craze that has taken over the fitness side of things in the past couple of years, the anabolic diet. Also, I think it ties heavily into the concept of volume eating, and it also kind of ties into if it fits your macros ultimately. But we're gonna focus on what is commonly known as the anabolic diet now, because this type of content rules the fitness space. All right, everybody's got this recipe, I made this food, super high volume, massive pizza, only 300 calories, all this stuff. It's kind of good for content and eyeball purposes, but ultimately I think this trend doesn't do much good for really anybody involved besides the ones selling the cookbooks and making the content.
Man, bathroom!
Now let's get this out of the way too. I'm not gonna sit here and roast you if you like to make some anabolic recipes every now and then. Okay, if you like to eat some of these things maybe once a day or every other few days, I'm not gonna get mad at you guys. I've told you myself I have a sweet tooth personally. I'm not gonna sit here and thump my chest. You must eat 100% clean every single day. I've never said that. However, I do believe that if this diet is comprising maybe roughly 1/4 or more, 25% of your overall meal plan, and for a lot of these people it seems like they're eating this every single day all the time, I think you're going down a potentially bad rabbit hole here. And quick side note, if you are gullible enough to pay this much money for a glorified recipe book with a bunch of grammatical errors in it, you deserve to get roasted, even though the money you spent was actually your parents. On a serious note though, I do think a lot of people use this diet as a coping mechanism to pig out on a regular basis and eat kind of unhealthy foods, but using the guise of it being anabolic and low calorie to kind of hide that fact. For a fun little segue into this, I found this Reddit post when searching for volume eating, and it says this. This guy here is patting himself on the back for eating pizza and a pint of ice cream for dinner. No shame, no guilt, etc. because it fits his macros. And ultimately, I don't believe that the anabolic diet really gets to the root cause of the problems that people have with food. So we're about to explain the 5 issues I have with the anabolic diet. But before we do that, we're going to read an Instagram message that our viewer Linz sent to me. If you're watching, Linz, drop a comment down below. She shared her thoughts on the anabolic eating trend. She says, dude, your channel needs to gain more popularity. True. Thank you for preaching healthy body fat percentages and trying to normalize the fact that body fat percentage fluctuates and will change in your lifetime, and there's no need to start freaking out. Once again, guys, I get messages like this over and over. Here we go. I just wanted to say that when I first found Greg Doucette, I thought he was a godsend, but when I started learning about volume eating coming from disordered eating habits as a teen, all I found was 1, a stretched stomach capacity due to excess fiber and fake food, 2, messed up gut from so much fake sugar, which later caused more cravings when you cracked and binged, and 3, poor health and poorer wallet, because all you do is buy diet foods that cost so much while giving you no nutritional value. I just wanted to thank you and please keep pushing out the content. I'm 28 years old and know better, but the teenage girls and boys listening to this dumb advice don't. Like, our bodies are not calculators, we need certain things to just function. So many people probably developed BED after the anabolic diet. All you do is stretch your stomach to its limits and hurt your gut microbiota and trick your brain into thinking you're intaking sugar when you're not. That's a big point we're gonna talk about. So she is not a fan of the anabolic diet, evidently. But that's a good segue into the first point I want to talk about. The anabolic diet tends to be low, in some cases dangerously low, in dietary fat. And this can be a train wreck for your hormones in the long term. Dietary fat controls hormone function, especially testosterone and estrogen production, and the cholesterol derived in fats plays a key role in that process. Dietary fat also plays significant roles in mental focus and clarity, absorption of vitamins, skincare, and other things like that. And there are numerous Reddit threads, guys, you can read of people on the anabolic diet discussing how the fat is too low, they're getting some hormonal issues, potentially even impotence, brain fog, all the things relating to what we're talking about here. Now, the common retort is going to be, oh, well, just eat more fat. Once again, like I said, most of the people consuming this content en masse are young teenagers and early 20s, okay? You cannot expect them to intuitively figure this out because they just simply watch what these guys do and what they make, and they mimic it. Also keep in mind too that pretty much every single person who does this anabolic eating content, they're on gear, okay? When you're getting your hormones exogenously, guys, this low dietary fat is not that big of a deal. So a lot of these guys will never experience these side effects because they don't have their natural hormones running in their body. And that's totally fine, but a lot of the time they cannot relate to these circumstances of naturals, and they give bad information because of that. It's not 1990 anymore, guys. We know from research and tons of anecdotes that dietary fat is not the enemy. It's not the devil. It's not going to simply make you fat because it's called fat. And fat gets suppressed so much on the anabolic diet because it's the most calorically dense macronutrient. 9 compared to 4 and 4 to carbs and protein. You guys have seen my content. I drink whole milk every day and Fairlife chocolate milk. I eat whole eggs 5 a day. I eat peanut butter, which is high in fat. I did not magically get fat. Now, some people on here claim that I'm fat because they're body dysmorphic lunatics, but I'm clearly not fat even at the peak of the bulk by any legitimate metric. And even though fat is more calorically dense, one of the most interesting things is that fat is perhaps the most satiating macronutrient. You can argue whether fat or protein is more satiating, but compared to carbs, at least the vast majority of carbs, fat is more satiating, which means you're going to eat less if you have a good amount of it in the diet. So instead of making all these special foods and stuff, you could just increase your dietary fat and get the same satiation benefits that the anabolic diet allegedly provides. And if you would like to check your hormones currently, guys, if you're on this type of diet, check the description box. I can get you 30% off at-home hormone tests if you would like. So low dietary fat and its effect on hormones is the first issue. Now, segueing into the second issue, it's the fact that so many of these anabolic eating people seem to equate anything with no calories or low calories or no fat with automatically being healthy. So as we saw in the Instagram message, the anabolic diet is chock full of artificial flavors, but no calories, sugar that somehow has no sugar in it, no calories. This is an easy trap to fall into, especially for the general public who need to lose a lot of weight. Oh, there's no sugar, no fat, no carbs. It has to automatically be healthy, right? Unfortunately not. This seems to anger people in the volume eating anabolic if it fits your macros crowd. But just because something has calories in it, right? If there's micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, protein, fat, etc. attached to it, it is healthier for you to eat, assuming you're not just blatantly overeating, than something with no calories but a bunch of artificial chemicals in it. And something that a lot of ingredients in this diet contain is aspartame. This is a chemical very common in a lot of juices and sodas and things like that, even though it contains, once again, no calories. And aspartame has been linked to a number of potential issues as we age, including cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, and even dementia. And it's even been linked to neurological issues because the chemicals in aspartame raise cortisol, and that can prevent the release of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, all of which are essential to healthy brain function. Come to think of it, maybe that's why Greg keeps getting dumber and dumber by the month. He's literally frying his brain. And once again, guys, eating this stuff in small quantities is not going to guarantee you any of these issues. But once again, if this is a decent, significant part of your diet, this chemical and other related chemicals, you're not doing yourself any favors just because it has 0 calories. And the concept of fake sugar leads us into the third issue with the anabolic diet: the taste good obsession. If you eat a diet that is too high in artificial flavors and sugars and all this stuff for too long, guys, it's absolutely going to saturate your palate and damage your ability to eat real normal food. As the Instagram comment alluded to as well, this can do significant damage to your gut biome, and it stretches your stomach out, which in turn makes you hungrier throughout the day. You just keep filling it up with all this fake food and fiber, but your stomach just keeps expanding, and eventually this is going to lead to an increased appetite, which is what this diet allegedly tries to help. If you do the anabolic eating method as a significant portion of your overall diet, guys, you're pretty much guaranteed to be addicted to sugar. Even if you're not eating pure sugar, you're eating the chemicals associated with it, the low calorie, no calorie versions, whatever, your body is still craving sugar all the time. Like I mentioned earlier, Greg has publicly said that he drinks 6 Diet Cokes a day. All right, you can rationalize that however you want. This guy is a sugar addict. People who get hooked on this anabolic diet and all these special recipes, they lose the ability not only to eat, but simply even appreciate minimal ingredient, basic, boring ass whole foods. And it's funny because that mindset is largely what drives people into obesity in the first place. They have the mindset of children. If it doesn't taste really chocolatey or sugary or salty or sweet or whatever, they refuse to eat it. So they end up going out to get food over and over. Greg's favorites, right? Ooh, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King.
I'm in gaining mode. I need more food. I'm gonna go to Wendy's. They want to hear, go to Wendy's, go to McDonald's, eat more.
Going to Starbucks and getting the massive shake disguised as coffee all the time, right? Now, to be fair, given that a lot of people following this diet are still young and physically active, this is less of a concern overall. But still, that forms unhealthy relationships with food, and it just damages your mindset overall. It's not surprising that a lot of people who follow the anabolic diet used to or still currently have some form of eating disorders. So we've covered 3 areas of this diet. Now we're gonna go on to number 4. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, it's the algorithm. So my 4th issue with the anabolic diet, it makes food overly complicated. If you've seen the cookbooks yourself, you know this. A lot of those recipes contain 12 to 15 ingredients for one single thing. Gums, sweeteners, batter, flours, powders, sauces, added flavors, syrups, dressing. You name it! It's ridiculous. First of all, who besides guys like Greg, who outsource all their work to other people, have the time or the money to be spending this much on food additives all the time? Like, guys, anybody who's a legitimate shopper knows this. There are far more cost-effective and nutritious ways to spend your money at the grocery store than buying all these add-ons. Especially, like I said, most of the people who watch and follow this content adamantly, you're young and broke. You're college students, high school students. I know you use daddy's credit card to buy most of your stuff, but you can set better habits, better spending habits, more efficient spending habits now, so it's easier in the future. These anabolic eating guys are like Martha Stewart on steroids. They sit in their kitchen all day and make a bunch of good-looking food that is overpriced and undernourishing. You lose the ability to eat basic, boring food over and over. I know that scares and offends some of you. I can eat whatever I want. Yes, you can, but if you want to make nutrition far more simple, guys, eat largely the same things over and over. Greg has this on his site when advertising the cookbook. It says, "You'll never have to eat boring chicken, rice, and broccoli again." Newsflash here, if you cannot stomach a basic plate of chicken, rice, and broccoli, you have no business talking about healthy eating. The anabolic diet kind of covers that up by using the low-calorie options, etc. You're still fundamentally eating modified junk food in many cases. And that leads us into the final point here. The anabolic diet does not truly fix the binge eating problem. And as I mentioned, guys, this is not some big secret. Many of the people who get involved in this anabolic diet lifestyle, Greg's admitted to this, I think the Iron Musket has too, I'm sure there's other guys, they have binge eating problems. That's why they gravitate to this. They cannot stop themselves from stuffing their faces, so they have to do this volume eating to continue eating a bunch of food, but modify it so that the overall caloric intake is not excessive. And once again, that's not automatically a terrible thing, but I think it's putting lipstick on a pig. You're still essentially binge eating, but now you have a loophole, because no calorie, low calorie, all this stuff. You still are not fixing the root cause of the problem. Once again, you may need professional help to solve this for yourself. I don't pretend to be a licensed nutritionist or psychiatrist or anything in that field, but ask yourself this, guys, seriously. What do you think is healthier? Making all these special 12-ingredient recipes to help curb your obsession with food, or learning how to pace yourself eating boring whole foods? I think the answer is pretty simple. I've told you guys, man, chocolate is my weakness food. I've never truly had a binge eating problem, thankfully, but if I was to overeat something, and I've done this in the past, it's gonna be something chocolate related. Just because I like chocolate, guys, though, does not mean I have to add Nutella and Nesquik and chocolate powders and syrups into everything I eat. I like Fairlife chocolate milk because there's less sugar. I'll have a Cliff Bar or two post-workout, and then chocolate protein powder. That's it. In the overall context of a bigger 90–85% whole foods clean diet, that's not a big problem. A lot of these anabolic eating guys are essentially large children with access to an easy bake oven and I guess a blender. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're unable to eat roughly 75+% of your overall diet with normal, boring, clean foods, you have far bigger issues than whatever anabolic recipe you're gonna make today. So put the cookbook down, princess, and learn to eat real food like an adult. Until you can do that, you're gonna be trapped in the anabolic diet lifestyle forever, wasting money, wasting time, and potentially even reducing your gains. Choose wisely. So thank you guys very much for watching. Share this video with somebody who needs to see it. Thank you as always to the Patreon supporters. Like, comment, subscribe, hit me up directly for custom programs or coaching. Link in the description. And I will catch you guys next time.